Hey Algebra 1 friends, so this is the 7.1 notes. I have pre-filled in the formulas for you, so what I need you to do is pause the video and make sure you filled in these things. Hopefully you've done that by now. Make sure you pause the video and fill in these things before I keep going. So basically what's going on is you have the standard form of a quadratic, and it goes A, B, C. That's pretty much the important part. A is the first number, B is the middle number, and C is the last one. This does not include the x's or the exponent. It's just the numbers in front or the number at the end, okay? The axis of symmetry is the line that goes down the middle of a parabola, and it has a specific formula, negative b over 2a. So basically it's going to be negative middle number over 2 times a, which is the first one. Some people like seeing that a little bit better, so that's just like an alternate form if you want to add that. Then you will notice that this is the same thing. The vertex uses this value from over here, and then you plug that number into the equation to find out the y value. I'll show you what this looks like down below. Just give me a second. And over here, the y-intercept always has x equals 0 because it's on the y-axis. So all you have to do is plug in 0 for x to find any y-intercept, whether that's a quadratic or a line, anything. You always plug in 0 for x to find the y-intercept. And then the shape of the graph of a quadratic is called a parabola. Let's talk about the important parts of a parabola. The vertex is the middle point. Right here in the middle of that U shape is the vertex. Okay, so notice how it's at the bottom of that. It's kind of right there in the middle. That's the vertex. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line through the middle or the vertex. So that is this dotted line going up and down through the middle, or dashed line. Axis of symmetry. And I'll give you a second to write that down. The reason why that's called the axis of symmetry is because, let's say this point is two squares, 2 units away from the middle, so is this one. So this flips across to here. If you were to fold this in half, then it would be the same thing on both sides. The third part of a parabola is the zeros. These are the x-intercepts, where y equals 0. That is here and here. See how that's where they cross the x-axis? Those are called zeros. We're going to talk about zeros a lot more this unit, especially on 7.3 and 7.4. Then the fourth part is the y-intercept. This is where the graph crosses the y-axis. And whenever that happens, x always equals 0. Okay? And those are kind of the 4 main parts of a parabola. Now, some parabolas will go up like this, and some of them will go down. Here's how you tell. If the value of a, which is the number in front, is positive, then it goes up like this. Here's how I remember that. It makes like a smiley face. If the parabola opens down, it's negative. So that is like a frowny face. Okay? So there's 2 different directions it can go. Now let's do some examples. So first things first, we're going to cross off example B, because I actually made a mistake and it's the same thing as A. What we're going to do is find the axis of symmetry. Now remember, that formula from up here is negative b over 2a. Okay, so I'm going to copy that down first. Well, A is the first number, B is the middle number, C is the last one. So negative B is 12, goes on top. It's always the opposite of the middle number. On the bottom, it's 2 times A, which is 2. Well, that just becomes negative 12 over 4, which hopefully you know is negative 3. And then you take that number and you're going to plug it in. What that means is you're going to rewrite the equation, but instead of x, you're going to put in negative 3 in parentheses. So 2, instead of x, negative 3 squared, plus 12, instead of x, negative 3, plus 8. And then our answer for this is going to go right here. The first part is the negative 3 that we already knew. So let me show you how to type this into a calculator. Your phone calculator is probably not going to be the easiest way to plug this one in, just letting you know that now, unless you have the parentheses in yours. So I'm going to type 2, parentheses, negative 3, parentheses, and I'm going to use the squared button right here. Plus 12 times negative 3 plus 8. Pause and notice something for me. The only thing that goes inside the parentheses is this number. The squared goes on the outside, nothing else goes on the inside. That's it. So your vertex is negative 3, negative 10. Make sure you pause the video and try this in your own calculator so you know how to type it in. Then for the y-intercept, that's where we plug in 0 for x. So we're going to do the same kind of thing we just did, except for instead of negative 3, we always plug in 0 for the y-intercept. Now, something that you should notice is 0 squared is just 0. 12 times 0 is 0. So the only thing left is 8. The y-intercept will always be the last number, or C. So you might be like, why is she even telling us that the last one's C? We don't use it. That's because it's the y-intercept. And then we're going to skip over here to example 3 and 4. These give you the information you need to graph it. So this one has a vertex of negative 2, 3. This is your x, this is your y. So I'm going to go where x is negative 2 and up to where y is 3. Put a point there. And on the vertex, this is where you draw that line down the middle. Then it says y-intercept of 1. So go to the y-axis and put a dot at 1. And then this is the part where it gets a little tricky. This is your axis of symmetry because this point can flip across over to here. So see how it's 2 spaces away from the middle? You're going to stay up 1, but go 2 spaces this way. So it just kind of like flips across the graph. And then you draw a U. Same thing on example 4. X is 3, y is negative 5. X is 3, y is negative 5. Draw a dashed line up the middle for the axis of symmetry. Put your y-intercept at negative 2. That is 3 squares away from the middle, so you want to go 3 squares this way. And then draw your U. The issue is you have to have 3 points to draw your U through. So after you draw the y-intercept, flip it.